大家好，我是能量姐姐。我大概是在2015年的时候出过一场大车祸，那时候我的肋骨就是左边右边各断了一根，然后呢，从那时候开始，我的身体就出了很大的问题，常常会觉得疲倦，人会没什么精神，然后你去做了年度的抽血检查，好像也看不出什么毛病，你就会想要找出它的问题所在。当时候呢，我是在 YouTube 平台看了许多纪录片，最后发现呢，就是因为我们的营养素不足，我就特别跑到圣地亚哥学习了葛生疗法。那时候看到好多身体有慢性病的啦、癌症的啦，他们都前往学习。那时候是3整天的课程，都是老美哦。然后也有一些专业的人士，像是营养师啊、护士啊，他们虽然是专业人士，但是他们本身也有身体健康的问题，所以就想学习，让他们的身体更健康。后来我去参加了这3天之后，我非常喜欢，因为我本身也是素食者，刚好他提倡的都是比较倡导生机饮食，而且都是新鲜的蔬果。但你要知道，现代人因为已经让地球暖化的问题，还有其他的问题，让我们的土壤已经不再那么肥沃了。在这种情况下呢，你即使拿到了生机饮食，它的营养素呢，也不像我们古代人或者是早期我们父母辈的人的那种土壤那么的有营养价值。所以我们还是得靠高科技来做辅助，才能够全方位的获得营养。当然啦，除了营养素的摄取要有正确的方式之外，你的身体心灵上也是要达到平衡，就是心理上也不能情绪起伏太大，因为其实我们的情绪呢会影响到我们的健康。还有身体，如果说你只光吃营养素不运动，那你的身体能量还是很低的，最后还会导致生病。那今天有机会介绍我刚加入的一个电商平台 THREE International， 是非常好的高科技研发出来的营养品。
Hello and welcome. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you're calling in from tonight. I am up in Pennsylvania in Eastern time, so it's evening here. My name is Marisa Mangiamelli. I'm going to be your host for this evening. I'm super excited to be able to share what we have at THREE here and also connect with some amazing people on this call tonight. I am an integrative health and functional nutrition practitioner and a board certified health and wellness coach. I am super passionate about what we have here at THREE, the proactive wellness line that we have to offer for people, the solutions it's provided. Really, I get so excited about the incredible community that I get to meet, including all the amazing health professionals that we have in our THREE team. And one of those healthcare professionals tonight we're going to have on is Tina Williams, and I'm going to share a little bit about Tina. She is a retired oncology nurse. She is married to Fred Williams, who's also a gastroenterologist physician that's partnered with THREE as well. Her and her husband both really love THREE. They have great things to share about it. They met at Johns Hopkins when Tina was a bone marrow transplant nurse and Fred was in his residency. They have 2 adult children and their first grandbaby on the way in July. And they are really, really passionate about wellness. I had the pleasure of meeting them both on a cruise that we were on for THREE back in the fall. We spent a long time poolside chatting about all the things wellness, nutrition, our food and growing it and what we have available to us, all the tools that we could put in our toolbox to really help our body thrive. And I could talk to them for hours and hours, and I'm excited to have Tina on tonight to share a little bit about that. So Tina, I'm going to welcome you on here.
Thanks, Marisa. It was so awesome meeting you on that cruise and being able to talk our jam.
I know, it was so fun. It really was so fun. So I would love for you just to share, you're in St. Louis, Missouri, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm calling in from Eastern Pennsylvania tonight. And one of the things, so just before we dive into things here, Tina she posted on a post I shared about some chickens. We bought 19 chickens recently. And she said, they grow up to be big, right? And I said, I know. And then I learned that you have chickens too. I mean, would you share a little bit about what I'm going to lead into why I'm talking about our chickens, because they have an incredible setup on their small suburban property. But first, can you share what led you into wanting to homestead and wanting to find good nutrition and why proactive wellness became so important to you?
Well, yes, certainly. So, my husband's always been interested in nutrition. He's probably one of the few doctors that knows a lot about nutrition and the power in food. So I have to give him a little bit of shout out there. But what really started it was I was diagnosed with breast cancer 15 years ago. And after I had a bilateral mastectomy, a hysterectomy, chemotherapy, and they were like, you're good now, but I really wasn't. I mean, really 2 years later, I was really struggling with no energy. I would literally wake up in the morning hoping that I would get a 2-hour nap in sometime in my day. So I was just still really struggling with my health. And so I had discovered another company. I was with another company for 10 years. I felt like they had pretty good nutrition, and it really did help rebuild me and set me up on this path of really diving into supplements and good nutrition. We became plant-based. We moved 8 years ago specifically to have a little bit of land so that we could have our own little organic farm. We have beehives and we have chickens. So, we really believe in the power of food, but even if you grow really great organic food, our food is deficient. And so supplementation is really imperative if you want to be nutritionally sound. And so we used what we thought were really quality supplements. And, my husband used to always say, you are what you are, what you eat, you are what you eat. And then we figured out, well, no, that's not really true. That's not the whole story. It really is, you are what you absorb. And so when we learned about THREE and met Dr. Dan, our Chief Science Officer, and learned about all the incredible cutting edge absorption technologies in these products. And we love the fact that there's 6, not 100, 6. We were taking maybe 15 or so supplements. So this way scaled down the number of pills we were taking. And it's interesting, I really didn't expect to feel a difference when I started the products because I thought I was already pretty good. But my energy was better. I had great GI benefits. I had been treated for something called small intestinal bacterial overgrowth for years, many times. And again, it was still probably the results of chemotherapy even that long ago. And I would get treated with these antibiotics that made me feel horrible. They were very expensive because they had to be compounded. And I would be good for a while until I wasn't. And then all the symptoms would come back and I'd start that whole process again. And when I started on the THREE products, I wasn't even really thinking about that. And a few weeks in, I looked at my husband and I said, you're not going to believe it, but all my bloating and gassiness and the stuff that he can't stand to hear people talk about were gone. And then I work at the nursery at our Paris school from time to time. And we were in the gym and one of the kids threw me a basket and said, Miss Tina, can you shoot hoops? Well, nobody would believe this, but I did play basketball for years growing up, and I played on a pretty competitive team. So he threw the ball to me and I shot it. And first of all, the ball went in, which was startling enough. But I was like, oh my gosh, I tore my rotator cuff years ago and I had no pain and complete range of motion. And so it's really been these funny little things that I'm learning about as life goes on, because you get used to things.
Yes.
And you don't realize that you're getting all these great benefits.
Yes.
And so you're not feeling these things anymore. And I was just talking to my friends Christy and Ricky are going to be on in a minute. And my son-in-law said to my daughter the other day, I almost don't even recognize your mom in pictures anymore. I don't know what she's doing, but she looks amazing. And you know, I think I look okay. My hair looks better longer. But I mean, I'm 62 and I'm not on any prescription meds. And I don't know many people my age that can say that.
Well, that's amazing. And I relate to so many things that you just shared. What led me into the integrative health space was my own autoimmune health healing journey about 13 years ago. And it started with food for me too. And I was pretty anti-supplement actually, because it was just like such an overwhelming space. And, there's no regulation on supplements and you never know what you're getting. And it's just like you walk in and there's like, how many on the shelf. You're like, I don't even know which one to get, But it's funny because I did so many things too. I finally caved. I like loaded up with probiotics and all the things to try to heal my gut health as well. And it wasn't until our vitality, and it wasn't, it's something you don't think about. I was like weeks, months in, and I was like, gosh, I'm feeling so much better GI wise. And then I was like, maybe I can eat a little bread because I've been gluten-free for over 10 years, like strictly, and I was like, I'm going to try it. And I didn't have headaches and I'd have GI distress, and I don't eat it on the daily, but to be able to have it once in a while. And that's the only thing that changed for me was our products too. So hearing you share the same thing, and I also had a tear that was a surgical repair that I did not choose surgery for. And sometimes I feel it pinch a little, but the mobility I have too. And like you shared, it's something you don't really notice till you go do something where you're like, oh, wait a second. When was the last time I was able to do that? So I relate so much to that. Now, you shared a lot about how you guys really felt like you were doing good nutrition before switching over to THREE, and you learned more about the absorption technologies and some things here. If you were to list off, say, 3 or 4 things that really stood out to you about what THREE is doing with the science and with the products, what might that be?
Wow. The fact that our chief science officer is in the field out there looking for phytonutrients that nobody else has discovered or done. The fact that he has, 14 patents or patent pending, that he's a leader in this space of combining, cutting edge science with whole food nutraceuticals, that we don't have to worry about side effects. We get these great side benefits. That I have just great trust in that. I never realized that traditional supplements, like 83% of the time what's on the label isn't even the bottle. But our company spends millions on third-party testing. That's huge to me. The fact that our products, you can just feel the difference, and it's all in the absorption. It's the first set of vitamins I've ever taken in my life that I can take on an empty stomach, and they absolutely do not upset my stomach.
So many people share that. And I have so many people share that. Mm-hmm.
Totally. I took I thought a pretty good quality collagen product before, but I have to get my nails done and my hair colored so much more frequently than I ever have in my life. But I have to say, really part of it is just trusting our leadership and Dr. Dan being at the helm of that. The fact that all 6 of our products is in the prescriber's digital reference speaks greatly to us because it gives us medical credibility. There's just so many things, because I think we are so far ahead of everybody else in this space that I don't think, like, people bring me products all the time and ask me to do comparisons. And I'm like, there is no comparison. This is like comparing a lemon to a watermelon. It's so completely different. And if it doesn't say advanced absorption technology, you're probably getting less than 10% absorption.
Yes. So many things I love there. I want to like touch on a few of them. So I run into the same thing with people, and I'm like, I always have to say to myself, have an open mind. You would want someone to have an open mind, right? And I always do walk in with an open mind, but I'm always like, when you really dive into what we have here and you feel it and you experience it. And in my space, I experience it with myself, my family, and clients, it's just so impactful. It's hard to, there's nothing that's even had me for a second deviate, because I think we just have something so powerful here. But so the absorption and the PDR, so the prescriber's digital reference, you are in healthcare, so you're super familiar with what the PDR is. Would you share a little bit about what that is for those who aren't and might not know? Because that was a big check mark for me also,
Sure. It used to be called the physician's desk reference. It was a big, huge navy blue book that sits on the desk of any physician. And they can look up any pharmaceutical and a few nutraceuticals. We're the only nutraceutical company, though, to have our entire product line accepted into it. And doctors look up dosages and any information on any pharmaceutical. And so you have to prove that your product does what it says it does and that it is unique in its space. And it has to be accepted by a panel of people. It's not just you call up and say, I have some great products here. Will you please list them in your book? It's now not a book. It's now digital. So now it's still PDR, but it's a prescriber's digital reference instead.
Yeah.
That spoke really hugely to my husband as well.
Oh, I bet. Because he's a physician. So I imagine it really did. And a lot of validation has to go through the process as far as research backing,
Absolutely.
So that's the piece too. There has to be clinical research backing the ingredients that you're using in the product that show that they're effective for what you're providing them for. So that's
Absolutely.
another big piece.
The other perk is, a lot of times you get pushback with people in supplements because although they might wholeheartedly believe it's better than a pharmaceutical, their response will be, but my insurance will pay for my prescription. But the nice thing about being in the PDR is people that have health savings accounts can use that money to pay for these products. So I think the PDR is huge in just so many ways.
Yeah, I agree. It's phenomenal. So you had touched on Dr. Dan going out and exploring. And so I just want to share a little bit on that too, because a lot of people don't realize that less than 5% of plants have actually been researched. And those are of plants that have even been identified, right? Like think of all the animals and plant species that aren't even identified yet out there in the world. That's just the ones that have been identified. And so I love that too, that he's out there actively exploring, talking with indigenous cultures to learn about what they've used for generations and generations, and then researching what those are and researching what the phytonutrients are. It's amazing. Especially for a young company, right? To be spending literally millions of dollars in research, it's pretty much unheard of. So that was a big check mark for me too.
And the facility that they bought, the research facility they bought in northern Thailand really just shows us the commitment they are to being in the forefront of anything that they can find and discover that's new and cutting edge is really powerful and just so impactful.
Yeah. And now we can't share that we treat, diagnose, cure, anything like that. We're just providing a whole food source, really nutrient dense products that allow the body to do what it's meant to do, right? It's a tool. It's a tool for the body to use. It's a tool that we're often missing in our diet. Like you shared, even if you're growing your own food, I live on a 11-acre farm and we grow our own food too. And there's no way we're getting all the nutrients. It's just not possible. And so, yeah, there's definitely the need for that. Now, I would love for you to share a little bit about your GI journey. I know you shared a little bit about how you went through your breast cancer journey and that left your body in a beat up state, right? Which definitely affected your gut, I'm sure. And I think there are so many people, especially in the United States, that have gut issues. And SIBO is a big one. That's what you had shared earlier. And they feel stuck there. They feel like they've tried so many things and people are, they're afraid of food. They're afraid to go out because they don't know when they have to go to the bathroom or how close that one is. I'm so stunned how often we hear these types of testimonials. And I know that was something you experienced too. Would you mind sharing a little bit more about that journey?
It's kind of funny because, it's probably the thing that my husband treats the most. And he gets so many of my daughter's friends or my friends that, that want to bend his ear about their gassiness, their bloat. And I mean, and his eyes almost roll in the back of his head. But, it's so embarrassing, though, and it's not necessarily something that women like to talk to. But even like one of my daughter's friends was here a couple months ago, and she had an appointment to see my husband. And I said, before you see my husband, and so I gave her some immune to just try. And she called me within 2 weeks, and she was like, and it might be TMI, but she said to me word for word, I am no longer walking and farting uncontrollably. Aww. And I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but it's that embarrassing and, isolating. And the fact that the immune has something really unique in it that I've never heard of before. It's the nanosilver and this quorum sensing technology. And quorum sensing technology that's in immune is unique to THREE International. And what quorum sensing means is it's disrupting the communication between the good bacteria and the bad bacteria so that the bad bacteria dies off and you have just a good, healthy gut biome. And then my husband can explain that way more beautifully than I can, but it's profound. And the immune also has had great effects on people's skin. Like I have a daughter with rosacea, and again, we don't treat, cure, and diagnose illness, but the only thing she changed in her toolbox was adding immune, and her rosacea went away. So gut health is foundational to almost everything.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. And what I love is I know when we were on the boat, we were talking about immune, and I remember you were sharing that with me, the nano silver in it too. You're like, I know that's such a big piece. And that's something you don't see. And the quorum sensing that we have is proprietary to THREE. You can only get it in our product, which is amazing. I mean, what Dr. Dana is doing is really wonderful. But it's just, our immune product is an immune modulator. It really balances the immune system. It brings it into balance. And so many of us are out of balance, whether it's overactive immune system or underactive immune system. So it's bringing that into balance. And like you shared, it just provides such a healthy gut environment with all the other ingredients too, right? Provides all the things necessary for healthy immunity.
During COVID, I was probably taking 3 or 4 supplements to get what's in our immune.
I know.
To help make me bulletproof, so to speak. And I use it like I've been traveling like a crazy person lately, and I double up on immune if I'm getting on an airplane. If I feel anything coming on, I double up. Right now, we're plagued with terrible allergy season, and I'm doubling up on it. And it's just, I hate to say I have to pick one favorite product, but it would probably be that. It would be that. Had the biggest impact on my health.
Yeah. I remember you sharing that with me. And it's funny because it's one of the products I thought I wouldn't take all the time. Yeah. I was like, well, if I'm going to cut one, it's probably this one. I'll take it when I fly, like, a week before, week or 2 before, while I'm traveling, after travel. But I've actually traveled so much this year, I take it all the time. I've been on 17 planes now and have not gotten off not one sick. And so our whole family uses it. Chris had a bout with shingles. He double, tripled up on it during that time. Some other natural support, and it really helped him manage it. He never had a major flare with it, so it's funny because it was one I was like, that one, and now it's one that our whole family takes all the time. And speaking of gut health, I know that we have some testimonials to come on tonight, and I know that was something that Christy found some support with as well. And so, Christy, I'm going to welcome you on tonight. If you want to hop on here with us. Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for coming on tonight to share a little bit about your story. Sure. I know that when we talked a little bit, you shared that proactive wellness kind of became something you started learning about and becoming very interested in your 20s when you had a nutritionist speak to your college team, right, about the importance of nutrition. But then you had a health scare also in your 30s. Do you mind sharing a little bit about that and kind of the path you took and what you love here at THREE? What has really supported your health?
Yeah, definitely. So kind of like you said, I played D1 golf in college. So we had a nutritionist that came to our team and kind of told us, this is the swaps and the things you need to do if you want to be an elite athlete. So I really took it to heart. And the changes I made just made me feel great. So I kind of kept living this holistic, better lifestyle than what I had been. And then in my mid-30s, I actually got diagnosed with sick sinus syndrome, so I needed a pacemaker. And to this day, they have no idea, why I need this pacemaker. So that led me even further into holistic health. And like Tina, I had been taking supplementation. I was actually a competitive powerlifter as well in my 20s. So, supplements were, a lot of things were big there, but supplements were pretty big. And for me, it was just natural. So I started taking THREE a little over a year ago. And I'll say that, one of my favorite products is Vitalite, because every afternoon you kind of eat lunch and then you get a lull and you want to take a nap, but you can't take a nap because I work full time, so I can't. I would go to the coffee shop, and the people at the coffee shop knew my name, they knew my order. And so now Vitalite has given me the natural energy, and I don't need the coffee in the afternoon to keep up. I have 3 small children as well. They're all under the age of 6. So keeping up is a big thing. So yeah, that's a big one for me. I love collagen for all the, typical reasons, hair, skin, nails, but really after having children, my hip and my sciatica had a little, hitch in my giddy up. So now that I have collagen, I feel like I know when the cycle is ready, because I start feeling it, and then also Eternal. So for me, I like it for all of the girl reasons. I know it's doing a lot of really good things because it's showing up on the outside, but I like that in the winter, it's cold here, you get the kind of gray winter skin, and I don't really get that anymore. So I typically have worn just mascara, and I put, a little bit of face lotion on my face, and I walk out the door. So it's really saved me time and money on coffee and money on makeup and time in the morning. So what else can I ask for?
Yeah, I love that. And I love, it's the truth though, that your outside is a reflection of your inside. Yeah. And so if your outside is not looking healthy, that means your inside is not very healthy, and so it's okay to want those things to look good, because it means that, you are healthy and thriving from the inside out. Tina, would you touch on a little bit? So I'm going to share our Vitalite. Our Vitalite is not an energy product. So yes. I'd love for you to touch on why, Christy, this is such a frequent testimonial for this product is having energy. So can you touch on why?
It's so funny. I have so many people that sometimes will come to me and they just want collagen. And I'm kind of like, you know what? Biggest bang for your buck is Vitalite.
Yes.
Start with Vitalite. It's got 40 whole food vitamins in it, 72 trace minerals, amino acids, fruits, greens, live bacteria to support the gut biome, omegas 3, 6, 7, 9 from cold water fish. It fills in all those nutritional gaps. It makes you 10 foot tall and bulletproof. And so, yes, it gives you great energy from whole food sources.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing when you give the body the things it needs, how beautifully it works. I know. Yes. And one thing we didn't touch on, I won't go too deep into it, but we did an epigenetic study, which is the study of what turns on and turns off the genes. And so one of the genetic factors we looked at was cellular energy. And so Vitalite did boost the cellular energy, in the third-party study, which was pretty cool. Yes. But I love that. I have people sometimes ask me, like, is there caffeine in this? And I'm like, no, it's just your body getting all the good things it needed to get. So, Christy, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I appreciate you coming on tonight. We're going to hop on with Ricky next. Ricky, if you want to hop on here with us. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me tonight. It's so exciting and it's wonderful to be part of this THREE community and be able to share more about why THREE has impacted and how THREE has impacted my life.
It's amazing. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. And I with you, the community piece is one of my favorite pieces of what we have here. And that's a big part of health too, is missing from people's lives. So So you have a story too where, early in life you had the mental perspective shift of I want to take care of my body. And now later in life you have some things you want to support. And so would you mind sharing a little bit about those things and how some of our THREE products have helped support your health?
Sure, absolutely. So I lost both of my parents by the time I was 22. My mom died from a brain tumor, an inoperable brain tumor when I was 20, and my dad had everything else. He had the heart issues and the diabetes and all that other stuff. So it really opened my eyes quickly to being proactive and what can I do to, because they were young. My mom was only 64, my dad was 70. So I was so open to, what can I do? What can I do? And you spoke to the epigenetics study. And one thing I also want to mention is before being at home with my kids, I was in the pharmaceutical industry. So I not even tell you how many people would give me this like pity party and the puppy dog eyes, like, oh, your genes, I'm so sorry, you have bad genes, right? So what I loved about THREE and what I loved about this whole journey is I was able to really watch my older sister who also had cancer, again, genes, my bad genes, but she had breast cancer, endometrial cancer, colon cancer, and ovarian cancer. And I shared that because she, for 21 years, lived with cancer, and she was definitely used Western medicine, but she was all about nutrition, and she always had nutrition in her toolbox, and I learned so much from her along the way. So when I heard about THREE and I was like, okay, I want to know more, I'm open to knowing more, and you all talked about the PDR, which was huge, green light, right? The third-party testing, check. All of the things that we know. And so often people say, yeah, but that industry is not regulated. And I'm like, exactly. That's why you want to go and use products from a company like THREE. And there really is no other company like THREE, let's be honest, right? And you all shared why. So I jumped in with both feet, started using all the products. I still use all the products. And like you all mentioned earlier too, all of a sudden you have these aha moments. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. So I had, I sound like kind of a little bit of a train wreck. I'm really not, but I had a detached retina about 2 years ago. And it was chronic dry eye, right? Chronic dry eye, constantly using these drops. And all of a sudden I realized after using, who knows what it is, I would say probably the collagen and the Eternal. But I noticed I didn't need those drops. And it was a couple months in before I had this aha moment, because I was using them and I ran out, and then I just was like I don't need those. I also had a hip replacement, and I have scoliosis, so I have back issues and joint issues, and the test is going up the stairs with the laundry basket without holding on to the rail. And for a while I couldn't do that with my new hip and my hip that needs to be done. Now I can do that. And so that's a win. And then last but not least is the gut health. And you all mentioned it earlier. I've had gut issues on and off my whole life. And sometimes I would be like doubled over in pain and discomfort. And so far, so good. I haven't had to deal with any of that. So thank you for allowing me to share. I could go on and on about the little, stories, but those are some of my aha moments.
Yeah, that's amazing, honestly. And all those things you shared, sometimes we tell ourselves our own story like this isn't a big deal, but they are big deals. They're very impactful in your quality of life. Like even just the laundry basket up the stairs, I totally empathize with that. For me, it was my knee. I'm going on my right knee, and it was getting up or down the stairs by myself, but also with my toddler daughter at the time. And I'm like, I don't want to fall down the stairs with her. I was swooning down on my butt. And our products help me. I'm back to being physically active and all the things. For me, it's the collagen and the Revive for that for sure. But Tina, would you touch a little bit on what you heard from Ricky and why you think the products are working together? It's another thing. Some people say like, okay, you take them all together. Like I take all of them. Yes, you can, because they work well together. You want to touch on that a little bit, Tina?
Well, a lot of people think collagen is just about hair, nails, and, girly stuff. But, everybody's collagen production starts to decrease in their mid-20s. And with all of the issues that Ricky has had, she needs the collagen. She needs to help her body a little bit. And the great thing about our collagen, because we cycle on and off it, is that we are actually helping our body to increase its own collagen production. So, that's huge with people that have joint issues. And so I'm sure that's why you're feeling good. I think you didn't mention Revive, but I know that you use Revive as well. And, other people that have used other turmeric type products haven't had near the effects that we get from Revive. And that being that, again, because of absorption technology, ours is 10 times more absorbed than other products, and that just helps with all the muscle aches and pains. It also has pepperdine and menthol in it that aids in relaxing the cell wall, that helps it get into the cell as well. It's got shiitake mushrooms that accelerates muscle recovery, but it's just a great product that yields great results. The collagen also, other people use a lot of powdered ones that I don't even know why. It's such a waste of money, but
yes,
collagen is such a big molecule, and ours is hydrolyzed and micronized. So it's tiny enough so that it's actually getting into the cell and therefore very efficacious.
Oh gosh, yes. I share that with people all the time, and also it's, for me, I love that we're a nutraceutical company, which means our products are blends. And Dr. Dan is so mindful and diligent with the blends he's putting together to make sure that they are complementary, that they work synergistically to really boost efficacy. And so our collagen is not just collagen, it's hyaluronic acid, it's biotin, it's keratin, it's vitamin C. It's pomegranate juice, which actually has some molecules that stimulate the body's natural production, like Tina said. And, it's just amazing. So Ricky, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us, and I appreciate it so much. So I am going to invite our last guest on tonight. He's one of my favorites, Dr. Fred Williams. I actually had the honor of having him as a healthcare professional guest to do one of these Wellness Wednesday calls. Once he is a gastroenterologist. He is married to our lovely Tina. And he's got an incredible health journey too, so I'm excited for him to share a little bit about how THREE has supported him through some health struggles that he's had more recently.
Well, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, unfortunately, I've had a bit of a rough couple of years. I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and I had to go through radiation therapy. And actually, they told me a lot of gloom and doom and all and whatnot. And actually, during my entire 9 weeks of radiation therapy, I got up and went to my men's workout group every morning at 5:30, ran home, took a shower, managed to get the first radiation treatment of the day at 7 a.m. and was into the office at 7:40 and never missed a day of work. All I missed was that little 40 minutes that I would have been working. And I attribute a lot of that to the products. I think they just gave me a wonderful amount of energy. And as Tina said, we have been very healthy over the years with plant-based diets. So I think one thing I say about THREE, as with any supplement program, is the important word is supplement. You just can't eat a horrible diet and think you're going to pop these pills and everything be good. But I think that what they do is, if you are eating a pretty good diet, this kind of brings you to the next level. And then about a year ago or so, I had probably the worst sports injury I've ever had. I had a terrible hamstring pull, and really was
different from a pool.
Hair, yeah. The whole back of my right thigh was completely black and blue, but I just was surprised at how quickly I was back to working out. And then the good times keep coming. I've had a long history of atrial fibrillation for 25 years. It was very intermittent and no big deal. I was just on a simple medication for it. And then in January, for reasons that aren't completely clear, it just kind of went crazy, and I went into permanent AFib and talked to my cardiologist and said, there's really nothing you can do. other than undergo a cardiac ablation, which is a catheter procedure. And I did that, and fortunately it worked. I went into the procedure in atrial fibrillation, and when I woke up 3.5, 4 hours later, I was in normal rhythm, which I continue now. It's been about 6 or 8 weeks. And, I gotta admit, the first week was a little rough. I didn't really feel too good. But, within 2 weeks, I was back to working out. I mean, again, at a little bit of a reduced schedule, but here I am 6 weeks later, and I'm pretty much back to normal. And I would say, over this last period of having prostate cancer, the worst part of it is, part of the treatment is they put you on medications that basically knock out your testosterone. So you have no testosterone. And the biggest problem I've had from that is just a substantial loss of muscle, which is frustrating. Interestingly, my strength has not really gone down that much, but certainly the size of my muscles have. But, again, the oncologists and all would just tell me all this gloom and doom about how you're going to be severely fatigued, and all you're going to want to do is sleep and whatnot. And I really don't find that at all. And again, I attribute that to a good diet with the THREE supplementation on top of it. I think that, if you can keep your body healthy and well nourished, you can overcome some of these issues. And another thing too, just with working out, I'm one of my favorite products of the 6 is Revive, which we kind of call our natural NSAID. I'm really never sore the next day. I'm ready to go the next morning, and sometimes even work out a couple times a day, and really don't feel any ill effects from that. So I'll just kind of stop there.
Well, I just have to share. I mean, I love that you're using the 3 products to support yourself, and they are phenomenal. We have a lot of physicians that use them even in their practice for, even for pre and post surgery, for recovery, and they're having phenomenal results. But I have to give you credit because you're not doing it for yourself. I think that a large part of the equation, Fred, is you. You being a physician also, I think sometimes it might even be worse sometimes because you already know all the numbers and the statistics and the results and what the recovery is going to look like. And, someone telling you oh, you're going to be tired. But you're like, nope, I'm doing this and I'm still doing this and I'm still doing this and I'm still doing this. And I'm taking these things to support me and I'm going to get through it. And so that's a testament to you. I mean, I appreciate that you love our products and you're using them. And I know they definitely are helping, but that is a tremendous testament to you. So, I'm going to switch it to your wife, and I would love to hear her perspective. And it's funny because it'll be interesting to hear, your take on it a little bit, Tina, because it is always really different. When you're the spouse, you're the person in the home, the perspective is different. How do you feel like the products, I mean, he did an astronomical amount through all of those very hard health journeys. And definitely your mindset is a piece of it, Fred. But Tina, what would you say has been really helpful?
Mindset was a big part of it. Yeah. He was a little bit pissed off that, he does everything right and that this would happen to him. But, he did not deviate from his routine, and his workout group has been a huge support to him. They actually, I'll get choked up. They all showed up at his last radiation treatment with him. And so, he was incredible. And, he's one of the older guys in the workout group. Most of the guys he works out with are 30s, 40s, and maybe a few 50s. And he's right up there with all of them and works out really hard. And that keeps him mentally strong. And I think mental strength is such a big part, keeping your head in the right place. And the supplements just fortified all that, just reaffirmed everything that he believes and everything that he's been doing. And so, it was amazing to watch. He makes me tired just watching it.
I love that. I truly love that.
But I do think there's, truth to that it's, it's the whole thing. Mind and body that have to work together. And I think there's a lot of studies that show that, you can't will yourself to be cured of cancer. I mean, if I said to my oncologist, I think I'm just going to have a positive attitude and not do the radiation and the medications, probably would not have been a good outcome. But I think when you're in the midst of it, how you respond to the adversity is very important. I think that's just also in life in general. But getting back to THREE, I think it's just an added part of it. One of the things that kind of makes me cringe that I hear from physicians is they say, you don't need any kind of supplement, just eat a healthy diet. And agree, I think, in 1950, that probably was true when our foods were so much more nutritious. But now they're not. And I think, again, even if you are lucky enough to have organic food or grow some food in your backyard, we're just not getting the nutrition you had before. There's all the toxins and chemicals and pesticides and herbicides. And I think supplements are absolutely necessary for health. I don't think they're an option. I think, they just have to be part of people's regimen. And, I've never seen anything like THREE. I think the advanced delivery technology, the absorption is what really separates us from everybody else. I mean, there are other companies out there that dabble and they'll have some liposomal glutathione or something, but nobody else that I know of, uses whatever it is now, 12 or 13 different advanced delivery technologies. And unfortunately, if you look at something like curcumin or turmeric, which we all know is a wonderful anti-inflammatory and also has multiple other positive effects, anti-cancer, cardiovascular, you absorb from your gut about 8% of it. The other 92% goes out the other end. And with our technologies, they've driven that up to more like 35%. So you're looking about a 4 times increased cellular absorption, and that's really what matters. And I think that's just what separates us. The other thing that I think is different is, they spend a huge amount of money, something like $3 million a year on testing, third-party testing, to assure that there's no adulterations, that whatever raw material they got was not adulterated with pesticides, herbicides, whatever. Also, they test to say that if we say X, Y, or Z is in the pill, they are in there. And then the other thing that I think is really interesting is what they like to call curation, which, a lot of companies, you want to buy a turmeric pill, great, you can buy a turmeric pill. But we put things together. Dr. Dan, our chief scientific officer, who is, an absolute genius. So, when you look at Revive, again, our powerful anti-inflammatory drug, it's not just curcumin. He's mixed that with black cumin seed, boswellia, shiitake mushrooms, and, a couple other things I'm forgetting. But the bottom line is you're getting so much more. Not one of our products is just a standalone, here, have some turmeric, have some boswellia or whatever. And I think that makes an absolute huge difference to have that kind of symphony of all these compounds working together in unison. And also, I think it's true with the 6 products. One thing I found with other supplement companies that I've used over the years, that they may have essentially an infinite number of products, and you sit there and like, well, that one kind of looks good, and that one kind of looks good, but ours, you have 6 of them, and there is a little overlap in a few places, but basically they're kind of separate entities, but when you put them all together, you get this amazing effect. So, it's just really a beautiful, beautiful system.
I love that. That's the perfect note for us to wrap up on. I feel like I got a 2-for-1 tonight with you and Tina. It was so fun. I love you guys so much. I love having these conversations with you guys. And I'm so thankful for our guests tonight, also Christy and Ricky as well, for hopping on and sharing your stories with us. And I am grateful for everybody that came on tonight. Time is our most precious asset. And so thank you for sharing a piece of yours with us. And with that, I'm going to say good night, good morning, good afternoon, but have a beautiful rest of your day.